What is up, everybody? Happy Friday. Welcome in to the Nick Club Wrestling Happy Hour. I am one half of your host and virtual bartender, Mr. Nick Teodoro. Joining me, as always, is my tag team partner in life, my wife, Miss Nicole. Nicole, what are you having this evening?
Oh, as per usual, Mr. Nick, I am having my Tito's vodka. I need you to tell me what you're drinking and our three things for the show.
I'm having my, as per usual, as you like to say, my Seven Oaks Cabernet wine. Well, Liv Morgan runs Monday Night Raw. MJF has run down the AEW locker room, and AJ Styles has faked his retirement. It's June 7th, 2024. This is the Nick Club Wrestling Happy Hour. What's up, everybody? Happy Friday. Welcome back in. If you're new here, please hit the old like and subscribe button on the channel here. It goes a long way. If you're new, we love having you. If you're a repeat customer, we love having you back. It's been a week.
It's been a week.
Nikki, we've seen a lot. Let's get right to it. Liv Morgan runs Monday Night Raw, and she's smitten. So, we open Monday Night Raw with the most intriguing love story in all of professional wrestling today.
I know people are saying, is this the new power couple? But as Nick said, Liv kicked off Monday Night Raw, and she introduced everyone to the Liv Morgan Revenge Tour. And then she talks about like how she took out Rhea, she became champion, she gave Becky an early retirement, and the cherry on top was kissing Dom last week, and talked about how it was like 40 million views in like within 24 hours. So, of course, as wrestling goes, you say someone's name 3 times, like Beetlejuice, they come out from the back. So, Dom strolls down the ramp, boos. Boos, is normal, you can't hear him, but basically he finally gets out, like, mommy's gonna kill you. And Liv laughed and was like, she's gonna kill you too.
Which, I said this to you earlier today, like, he's got, I guess it's just ironic, he's got the Vicky Guerrero heat. Like, I remember, like, Vicky Guerrero literally could not, like, you could not get a word out edgewise with Vicky Guerrero. And no matter who she was with, it was Dolph Ziggler. Who else did she have? She had a bunch of guys that I felt like she was with, but she always got heat for whoever she was with.
Yeah.
He's got that same, like, nuclear, like, polarizing heat. But anyway, go on.
No, agreed. So she was just like, you did last week, you didn't come out to help Becky. Like, you came because you wanted to be closer to me. And then she, like, gets super close to him. And then he, like, backs him into the corner of the ring post. And then she, like, caresses his body.
Mm-hmm.
And then Finn Balor comes out and was like, nah. He's like, John wants something to do with you. Judgment Day wants something to do with you. Like, back off.
That's my man. That's what he said.
And then she was basically,
Yeah, we're adding sound effects to this.
And then she was like, I don't remember what she said first. She's like, I don't know if she said, I don't want to go first, or maybe he doesn't want me to go.
No, I'll go. She basically says, I'll go, but he doesn't want me to leave. Essentially, Dom doesn't want her to leave.
So then she gets out of the ring and she does this like moonwalk back to him in the corner and just rubs her hand through his gross mullet. And then you can see on his face, does he like it? Does he not like it? Later,
Pat.
There you go. Pat McAfee does his whole breakdown and all the shooting laser eyes that he was like, oh, he like.
I know Lisa's chiming in. Pat's play-by-play was yes.
It was so good. I love Pat. I know in the beginning I think he got a lot of crap, but he is so good. The stuff that he adds, the little your color commentary, that was so fun.
Yes, as people are chiming in here. So again, as people are chiming into the beginning of the hour here, if you're new here, please hit the old like button. I broke that one out just for Nikki. She's never seen it.
I know, because usually we talked about it, it's like, oh, give us a like spike, and I always do like this, and I was like, it looks like I'm booing us, but I'm doing a Samoan
It's the old Samoan spike on the like button.
Thank you. I loved it.
Anyway, go on.
So that ends the opening segment. And then the Judgment Day is all over the show. They come out like 3 more times. But really, I guess the second big segment is when it's Braun versus Carlito. And Carlito's now kind of with the Judgment Day-ish. Or at least with JD McDonough and Finn. So they come out.
Which I feel bad for him because I don't know what the hell is going to happen with him shortly. Unless they reform like some sort of heel LW, excuse me.
Well, just because that's also, I forgot. I think Andrade tweeted back at, or what, X, that doesn't sound right. But like, so a fan wrote, like, why do they always put all the all the Spanish guys are in one group, all the black guys are in one group, you know? So maybe this feels, maybe it's a little different. Like, you can have multiple ethnicities in your faction. But basically, so JD McDonough and Finn get involved in the match. And then, so if this eventually Dom hits Strowman with the chair. And then he goes to do his choo-choo train thingy. And then basically Liv out of nowhere comes and stands between Braun and Dom, like protecting Dom. Michael Cole, she's like, she's a human shield.
Which also, I wanted to mention this earlier. I don't know, like in the ring, like she wears these high heels that are so high.
How they get up this? It's like Charlotte does that too, or she wore the really skinny ones. I'm like, I'm so afraid that they're gonna walk up the stairs and break their necks.
Well, no, I was wondering if she does, like, because I've never seen her wear something.
You did say that on Monday that like they were so high that she was basically the same height as Dominic. Yeah,
like I wonder if like that was strategic in some way.
I don't know, probably those platforms are coming back. So then basically she protects Dom, does the distraction, so then all the JDs can beat up Braun Strowman, and they take a chair and like beat the ever-living stuffies out of him in the ring. And then at this point, they're done beating up Braun, and then he's on the outside of the ring, and she like basically, or he's up the ramp, and she backs him up against the apron, and once again, Finn comes down, and he was like, "Oh, get away from him!" Like separate, and then she just kind of puts her hands up and then like walks back up the ramp.
Yeah, I don't have another shot of
that. Yeah, so that's basically that. And then JD, the Judgment Day, does like 2 more segments after that, so it's just like. It's like they say, like when Rhea was around, like the Judgment Day runs Raw, and now like Liv is slipping in. And there was footage the other week of Finn was talking to her to like stay away. So I think the 3 of them are in cahoots.
Yeah, well, you took the words right out of my mouth. I was gonna say, like, what happens if she ends up sneaking in and being the new Judgment Day leader, like taking everything from her, includes the Judgment Day in theory. So, it could be a real interesting
because it seems
twist.
Like again, Priest doesn't want JD and the Judgment Day involved in his matches, and he made a face after he won that match because there's like Finn and JD got involved, and like Dragon Lee came out. It was a whole big thing, and I just think he's turning. I think at Clash he's gonna turn face or post Clash. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Get in there, guys. But I think he's gonna go off. I think he's gonna go off and do his own thing. So maybe this will be like the new Judgment Day with
Judgment Day 2.0
with Liv, and then there's an announcement article today that Rhea's not gonna be ready for SummerSlam. She's gonna miss it.
Right. Well, that what prompted me to tell you this like 5 minutes ago. I was like, what would be really cool is I wonder, and I don't know offhand, so I just saying this out loud because there was rumors of this, and Rhea said in interviews because she's engaged to Buddy Matthews, from AEW. What if he comes back and like I could totally see, I don't know when his contract's up, but let's just say if it somehow lines up within a few months of that injury, him coming back into that storyline, right? Because Dom goes with Liv or something along those lines. That could be a nice twist to it. So,
because Buddy's huge and Dom is not.
Right, but exactly, and it just like it could lead to this whole other, and just kind of like the Bloodline stuff. It's Judgment Day 2.0. It's the new version. So it leads me to my question, which I think we kind of hinted at, but like, does Dom in fact give in to Liv's advances? Does he turn and he?
Well,
do you think so? Does our audience think so? Let us know.
I think you made the joke that you're like Dom is a sub.
Oh yeah, no. I said it's ironic. His name is Dom and he's a sub.
Well, because basically, like, Rhea seduced him. Like, he got choked out by her legs, like, every Raw for a while. So I think he can get easily persuaded by a woman giving him attention. And also with Rhea being gone, he wants attention. And I think, Liv is willing to give it to him.
Mm.
But, she's rubbed him a couple times. And there was that one picture she had, she was wearing those, like, black hot pants, short things, and she had a little purple... like the bandana tucked in her pocket.
Lived it?
Yeah. It was early, like a couple weeks ago. I think before she won the belt.
Interesting. I didn't notice that. Interesting little twist on it. So
it wasn't like, I think it was like one of like the things that they posted online. Like it wasn't like you had to like look for it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I don't know. We're all about Easter eggs and little trinkets here.
Yeah, we've been getting clues the last couple of weeks from Uncle Howdy, so why not, play into all that as well. So we transition in from WWE to our mid-card topic of the evening, which is AEW Dynamite. MJF's first words officially, well, second words really officially, on Dynamite since his return. So comes out and basically, as I said in our open rundown, just literally runs down the top signings, the top tier wrestlers of the last 6 months since he's been out, maybe even weaker.
Yeah, I guess your two big signings and then like swerves to the new champ. Then he has Triple B.
So yeah, so MJF comes out, classic MJF promo. Playing to the crowd. Oh, we're in Chicago. I'm stoned. All this other stuff.
You're in Colorado. He's like, we're in Colorado. You know what I mean? And they zoom in on his eyeballs and he's high as high. Yeah. And then he shills the new shirt, which I really liked. And now I'm sad that it's AI generated. So I, support artists, not computers. And then he also shills out that he makes a comment that he's at his house in Long Island, and the apparently Forbidden Door is going to be in Long Island. So he's like, "Oh, you'll probably see me wrestle some." I think he said
New Japan, like random guy from New Japan.
Like, I thought he said like it's like Mexican or some Japanese guy. I didn't write that down because you say I write too many notes, and I should have wrote.
No, he said like Japanese guy, yeah, like Japanese,
yeah.
Right? But I
guess we'll get to that in a second.
Well, to that point, so the whole thing about MJ, what makes him so great is just his ability to ad lib and to play off the crowd and everything else. And I felt like that whole, even whether it's a Colorado thing, just pandering to the crowd, or going back, he knows how to play the game so well, and he's such a great yeah, and just being able to hey, here's my 2 promos, I'm done, by the way, the event's in Long Island, but he ties it in so well, that storytelling element, that, yeah, he is the best, to date. Go ahead.
He said that he's here to put everyone on notice. He's been listening to children making bold claims, and then he goes into the 3 people that he tears down. First he's like, oh, someone's calling themselves the Rainmaker. He's like, way to make the money, but he's like, but clearly you can't afford a gym membership. So
which is pretty funny because he does kind of.
Then I thought about it. I was like, oh, I guess he kind of is. And again, MJF came back shredded. But I thought about it. I was like, yeah, no, he's really not like that.
But MJF's always been kind of in good shape. He's been a thicker dude, but
yeah, but he definitely came back more. That's why he was. Anywho, But then calls out Okada, Rainmaker, you look like you're not in shape. Then he goes and the other one's swerving around. He's like, hell of a leader. You call yourself Mogul Embassy. They all turned on you. And he's like, oh, another thing that bothers me, you call yourself a business mogul. He's like, what did you go to business school? Because Shano, you must have failed all your public speaking classes. So he's like calling out Swerve for not being a good promo. And then I'm like, is he a bad promo? But I really like.
He's been good the last couple months.
But
I always like Swerve as a heel, so I don't know.
Sorry.
No, I just don't know as like a face would.
And I also love that he calls him Shane because that's his name's Shane Strickland, so he's like Shano. And then last, of course not least, which I cannot wait for this match down the road. He says, "I'm sorry, this is gonna be language. Kids, cover your kids' ears." He calls him a Cockney cockhead. He's like, "Oh, best in the world, bruv," and he starts doing this like the Cockney accent, and then they start doing a bruv chant. He's like, yeah, great word. And he's like, last time I checked, you're not Chris Jericho, Jon Moxley, Cody Rhodes, Samoa Joe, Bryan Danielson, Kenny Omega, Adam Cole, and Tanahashi. He's like, but you know what? There's someone that has beaten all of them. He's like, let me think about it. He's like, oh yeah, Maxwell Jacob Freeman, MJF.
Which I always I take with a grain. Like, there's a lot of big names on there, but I take that with a grain of salt because it's always like, who you're booked against, who's available at the time. So like, yes, it is. It does give you. Yes, it is very, very impressive nonetheless. But yeah, it's interesting. So you see a lot of potential feuds, right? Mm-hmm. But let's not rush into anything. See what I did there?
Rush the last part of his promo.
Sorry.
Because I think this is a really good part. And this is what ties into what Rush says when he first starts singing into him.
All right, go ahead.
You talk too much. So basically said, he's like, what? He's still talking about Ospreay. He's like, check your tone. He's like, watch your tone and check your mouth, silly Billy. You're not the best in the world, bruv. I am. I'm the guy who did the impossible in the last 5 years, became the face of AEW. The matches, moments, memories, all circle around me. And then it made me think, going back, a lot of the big stuff he was involved in. I don't know. I just feel like it was definitely a hole in the roster with him being gone.
Yeah, well, he's the best guy there.
The match with the Iron Man match with Danielson, the dog collar match with CM Punk, him and the craziness with Chris Jericho that was going on. Him being, with Wardlow, he said, I've gone from the most hated to the most beloved. Yeah. And that's prompted Rush to come out.
And that's where Rush. You mess with the bull, you get the horns.
Yeah. So
which his eyes look bloodshot too.
I know they're
all high in Colorado.
So he's like, oh, you're like most Americans, you never know when to shut up, and he calls him a pedo. And then he's like, you come back and you get this big celebration. He's like, where's my celebration? Where's my moment? Because when you were gone, and he's like, I was here putting in the work. I was here winning matches.
Which, was he winning matches? Because I don't think he
was.
I mean, if a tree fall, if you win a match and nobody watches, does it really count?
I know, and I feel bad because he's good. I think he's a good wrestler. And I think MJF kind of puts him over later in the promo, but it feels like a weird call out that he's like, I've been here winning matches. And I'm like, name one, sir.
Yeah.
You've been on Ramp. And that's what the dirt sheets are saying. It's like, on Ramp, and then it's just a testament of Tony Khan has too many toys in the sandbox, and you have this incredible wrestler that no one sees.
Who's he? He's a son of somebody, but isn't he? I thought he was related to somebody else too, or was he a tag team with Andrade or something?
Someone correct me in the comments, but I think his brother's Dragon Lee.
That's what it was.
And there was a whole big thing because Tony Khan thought that because Dragon Lee did a couple spots at AEW, he thought that he was going to have him, and.
You can say the same for Eddie.
Yep. So then Nick said, he says, oh, you mess with the Bulls, you get the horn. And then MJF tears into him at first and then puts him over. So he's like, oh, did anyone understand what he said? He's like, when that Mark Tony Khan ran production, like it was bad, but he's like, oh, the Young Bucks, it's even worse. I don't know what's going on here anymore. He's like, Brandon Cutler's running the booth. So I love that he did a subtle, well, it's not very subtle, it's MJF, but did a dig to the Young Bucks. But he's like, and then he's like, oh, where'd it go? He's like, we don't, and he's like, oh, can you say that again? Kind of like The Rock, and he's like, and he starts talking, he's like, we don't give up, shut. And then he's like, your dime store suit making your bank account look real dry, like every woman you've ever been with. And he's like, ooh. And then he's like, no, seriously, like, I forgot, and I love that they tie it back to this, that he's like, oh, I paid you a lot of money to take out Brian Danielson, Jesus, sorry. And I was like, oh yeah, I forgot that he was like paying people to like attack him before their Iron Man match.
Yeah. That was the only time I remember anything about Rush.
Yeah, so he's
was
like
that whole group. Yeah, like he was in that weird. It was
with Andrade, and then it was that Andrade people, and then they kind of merged with Matt Hardy's people, and it was just like vignettes or like segments backstage with like Renee interviewing them, but then basically puts them over like, you sold out stadiums all over Mexico, and then you came here and you're like one of the fastest ROH champions, and like now you're at AEW, and like,
he put him over well. It's just again, you're still in you haven't done anything in AEW unless on Rampage, and he's collecting all these wins over all these people that no one knows.
I rewatched it because I don't remember what he said, and I don't know if they cut it out in the clip, but he said something in Spanish. He said, "Tu mama," and then there was like something. So I don't know. Obviously, he said something about Rush's mom, and then Rush went running to the ring. They get into a big fight. Christopher Daniels and all the security come out and try to separate them, and they're brawling. So I assume that's your match at Forbidden Door.
What was interesting is like I thought that I was just trying to count like, all right, so Ospreay, Swerve, and Okada. So like in terms of like face heel, I guess it's two faces and one heel. So I guess he's just gonna MJF's just kind of going rogue MJF. I was trying to figure out if maybe he was like, if you noticed he ran down three faces, maybe it's back to like heel MJF, but now I think he's just trying to do the rogue.
I think he's above that, and I think him saying I went for the most hated to the most loved, and he's getting so many chances, and like when he first got into the ring, they're saying he's our scumbag. So I think he's just so far above that, so he can go after a face or a heel. Like he does come out of the heel tunnel, if that means anything.
He's so this generation's Ric Flair. Like it's just.
I think it's Ric Flair, and I think it's Stone Cold. I think Stone Cold, did that tweener thing especially when he was first kind of on the rise. Like he did a lot of heelish stuff, but everyone cheered him. So I think he's the kind of the amalgamation of the two.
It's just weird to me because like every time like Ric Flair was a face. Like you felt like he always did heelish tactics to win as a face, so he never had like a face finishing move. And I feel like MJF's kind of the same way. Yeah,
for sure. Even with him, all the stuff with Adam Cole, bye. Oh, did I have to bye? They did all the heelish stuff. Like he poked Adam Cole in the eye all the time, like in their match at Wembley. Like
speaking of poke, why don't you hit a poke on the old like button if you're new here and chiming in? Hit the old Samoan spike on the like.
Scared her. Thought it was Jackson.
Lisa thought it was Jackson. Yes. Lisa, that wasn't Jackson. No, Jackson is here snoring away.
Thank God.
Right now. And we're not mentioning his name like Beetlejuice. We shouldn't mention it 3 times.
Yeah. So I'm assuming that's going to be the match at Forbidden Door. I actually looked because I didn't remember if something came up later in the night or Tony said something on commentary like, oh yeah, like Johnny got or whatever, but I'm assuming that's going to be, I think that's an easy kind of feud to ease MJF back into before he kind of gets up the food chain.
It's like the typical good wrestler mid-card, like they can give you credibility along the way, get the ring rust off.
And I think it'd be a good match. Like, again, Rush is good in the ring. Like, just, again, you don't see him.
Yeah, he could use a manager, I think. He's not like a bad talker. I just think he could use.
What's his face? He's at Impact now. The Spanish guy.
Yes, I know who you're talking about. No. I was about to say Armando Estrada. Where's he?
I know.
Bring him back.
Who's that?
Armando Alejandro Estrada. You remember Umaga's manager?
Oh, I wasn't watching in Umaga days. I had to go back and rewatch all the Umaga stuff.
The original Samoan Spike. Well, he maybe not be the original, the one that used it as a finisher. Before we started using it in our drops.
Was that him with Elias?
Yeah, I think it's Elias. I'm pretty sure.
Like, that seems really old. I'm sorry, his name is Elijah now.
It's actually not him with Elias. It's actually Solo Sikoa physically hitting the like button, which is what all of you should do, and subscribe. But I digress.
Anything else about MJF or?
No, I'm curious to see of those three that he named, who would be the first that he would feud with.
Okada.
Is it just because Okada's a heel right now? Because
I think it's because I think at Forbidden Door, I think Swerve is going to go over, and they're going to have the rematch at Wembley, and Ospreay's winning that belt at Wembley.
That would be.
I think it's kind of down for them to do the match at Forbidden Door.
I am surprised that Ospreay's challenging for the belt right out the gate. I mean, I want him to, but like, there's so much like non-build up. Like, he won a belt. So now he's going to be a double champion. Can we, if he wins the belt and he's both double champion, can we get rid of one of the belts?
What belt?
He's got the... Where's Ed? The Continental Crunch Wrap belt? Is that the one you want?
I honestly really that just happened. I forgot he had that belt. And then also, whoever wins the Owen gets a title shot at Wembley. So I think Ospreay... I'm saying Wembley weird.
Wembley.
I think Swerve is going to win at Forbidden Door, and then Ospreay will win the Owen to get the shot to go to Wembley and take the belt off Swerve there. So I think you give Swerve a good title reign. You give him a win over Ospreay, so it doesn't seem like a transitional champion. Because I know that was like a worry. So give him, it's like not like a, obviously after MJF had it for a year, and then Samoa Joe had it for a little bit.
You think they would build, well, I guess now would be the time. He supposedly signed an extension to build up Brian Cage because he was part of that. Wasn't he part of the Mobile Embassy with him? Like I'm just saying as a challenger.
He lost to Mark Briscoe.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He did lose to him. But it would have been the time to do it. But no, he didn't need to be in the match because that's all set up for the TNT title to be gifted to Jack Perry anyway. So he wasn't going to be in that match. So why not give him the opportunity? I don't know. I'm a big Brian Cage fan. I think he's misused.
I want Jack Perry to win the TNT belt and then feud with Christian and run that all back. Now that. But
then Christian's still heel.
I don't care if it's heel versus heel or face with face. Like, stop. It's 2024.
Well, yeah, and then also like the enemy of my enemy is my friend type stuff. Like once an enemy, I should say like once an enemy, always an enemy type deal. Like how many people throughout the history of wrestling, it's like they're a heel because they hated the good guy, like they hated that person, whoever it was, and then all of a sudden the good guy who's been good for so long turns heel. And the bad guy who's been out for a little while comes back as a face because he hates that heel. He hates that person. So, like, I could see it. I don't know.
I just throwing it out there since you brought it up. But that's speculation for another episode.
Exactly. So, we move on to our main course, which prefaces SmackDown tonight. Last Friday on SmackDown, AJ Styles faked his own retirement. Very interesting dilemma. We've seen it once before. It worked out phenomenally. This, pun intended, also worked out phenomenally. But if you didn't catch it live, let's take you back and refresh our memory. So, a lot to pack in, Nikki, as usual.
AJ pulled a Mark Henry, the infamous salmon suit promo.
You mean like Mark Henry?
Yes,
like Mark Henry, Lisa. Nicely done.
Yes. I love the pattern blue. So basically I guess 2 weeks ago, AJ demanded a rematch against Cody, and Nicole just was like, back line, bud. And then the SmackDown, he's in this suit and he goes to all this and he's like, I'm reflected and with my career, and he's like, if you can just give me some time tonight to, address the crowd, address my future here, like that would be great. It basically implies that he's going to retire, that it's time. It's been 2 decades. It's time to go off to the dusty trail. And Nicole is like, of course, like whatever you need, of course, like take your time. And then there's a few segments kind of cut throughout the night. He sees, like, Nick has showed up here. It's the Good Brothers. He sees them backstage. He's like, if I'm going to do this, he's like, I really need, my brother's there. I need you to come out with me to the ring. And he walks by Cody and he's like, hey, like, if I need you, like, whispered, but basically it was like, oh, when I call you out, can you please come out? So then he walks out to the ring and he's like, at this point in my career, I can't go to the back of the line. He's like, it's been 2 decades of blood, sweat, and tears. And he's like, this past weekend, he's like, my son graduated high school and we had a big party and it made me miss, like, think of, like, it hit me like, oh, all the stuff I missed being on the road. And he's like, maybe instead of being the phenomenal AJ Styles, it's time to go home and be the phenomenal father.
It was the classic sail off to the sunset promo that like every veteran wrestler that's got a family says at this point in their career when they're trying to get the last bit, the last little bit run out of their career.
Yeah. And then him walking down the ramp and he's just like, a lot of like, I need to hold it together. I'm trying to talk. And then you can see, like, especially Carl, like, you can just tell, like, they're both just like, oh, I can't believe this happened. This sucks. Like, so I think they all kind of played it pretty well. So then he brings in the Good Brothers. He's like, you're my best, you're, more than my friends. You're like my brothers. And if we're going to do this, we have to.
You're like my good brothers.
You're like my good brothers, brother and softly.
Use my strong hand.
And it's basically like, oh, if we're going to do this, we have to do this one more time. And they all, too sweet. And then he asks Cody to come out. Oh, there you go. The two sweet. Then he asks Cody to come out. And then he thanks him like that was, one of the greatest matches I've ever had at Backlash in Lyon, France. And his country voice saying Lyon makes me laugh.
Yeah, like, well, to be fair, though, like, if that was his last match, like he said, like, if it was my last match, that's how I'd want to go out. Because that crowd was hot. Like, exactly the type of energy that you'd want in your final match.
So then he goes, like, this is the house that AJ Styles built. But I called you out to hand you the keys. And Cody Rhodes, because chef's kiss, he cries at everything. And you could tell he's, like, welling up.
I swear I wouldn't do this.
And then basically he said, like, the one and only text that we've ever sent to each other was post the Backlash match. And he's like, I just wanted to check on you. And AJ responded, like, good little bro. And he's like, you've been such a big bro to everybody backstage. And for behalf of me, behalf of backstage, like, we just want to say, thank you. And they shake hands, they hug. And then AJ puts his hands in the air. And then, like, Cody's kind of, like, pointing to him. And then he's like, no. And then he, like, raises his hand. And they do the typical thing that they go to each side of the ring. And, like, oh.
He gets his curtain call.
Yeah.
He gets his curtain call. And Cody, and this is, honestly, you deserve it moment. Because he did what the stupid babyface heel does all the time, which annoys me. Is he kept holding on. He's like, look at this guy. Yeah, you're not loud enough for this guy, this loser.
What about
like
this side?
Yeah. He's he's a loser. He's going over to the sunset because he's a loser. Like, that's how it felt. so he's like, yeah, here, let me raise a hand to this loser.
Yeah. And then
the big old loser.
Basically, then they have their backs to the hard cam, to that side of the ring, and then he turns to do, like, the ramp side, and AJ just hits him with the clothesline. It looks so good and so hard. It's just like, he did a Mark Henry, and he like rips off his jacket and he starts like kicking him and beating him up. And then they take him, he goes to the outside and it's like throwing him against the barricade, and then they're on the steps and he's throwing his head against the ring pole, turnbuckle pole. The ring post. Yeah, there we go. Throwing his head up against there. And at this point, the Good Brothers are standing at the middle of the ramp. So they're blocking security and Nick Aldis so they can't come down and save Cody. So then he gets him up on the stairs and he does this. Let's see, he's beating him up. If you go back real quick, the picture of Cody looks hysterical to me. He's just like, and his like butts in the air.
Like he fell down.
And like AJ just looks like so badass. And then
he's like me trying to get out of bed late at night when I'm like hungry and like hungover. I'm like, help. It's like a turtle.
Then he gets him on the stairs and he puts him in the Styles Clash position and then jumps off the steps, lands, chef's kiss.
Which that has to be, like looking at it, that has to be dangerous. Like doing it off the steps.
I said to Nick, and I correct this down below, but like I don't. Maybe in TNA, like I don't remember him doing this, and lately at least, maybe his stuff with John Cena, with beat up John Cena.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
But like, I love this because I feel like to me we haven't seen it recently, so it's just like, oh, like it was a cool spot, a cool moment. I think this makes him look good, and I guess this would be your match at Clash. I hope this opens the show. Obviously, Cody's not losing. But I think it'll be a fun match to run back. I think the Scotland crowd's going to be crazy. Let's see if they can out crazy France. But again, I think you're just going to have these kind of one-off feuds with Cody before Roman gets back.
Yeah. Well, so you think... I don't think before Roman gets... I don't think Cody... I don't think Cody's going to be around the bloodline.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, he's going to have these little one-off feuds for each pay-per-view before Roman comes back.
Yeah, but then who's his, like, I guess his challenger is who? Roman? Are you saying Roman? Cody, like, I think his next main challenger, I think, is Gunther. I think...
Gunther's on Raw. That's not happening. Gunther's...
Yeah, like...
I think...
Who's the most credible challenger for...
Randy. When Randy comes back. It's built in...
Yeah, but I know it's built in...
Legacy? No. Yeah, Legacy.
But you could do that whenever. Like that's
but that's what I'm saying.
We need to build up
He's not going to have a big major feud. There's going to be these one little off stuff until Roman comes back. I don't think he's going to go into a long-term program with anybody. I think I'm surprised this AJ once, twice in a,
Well, it's because AJ's the steady vet. But that begs the question though. Like I don't know. To me, like. Do you like heel AJ Styles versus like I feel like there's not like Cody's a great face. There's not that many truly great faces. And it's easier to be a heel. Like, do you like heel AJ Styles versus,
I wasn't huge on board when it first happened, but I think this stuff with Cody, I think maybe the match in France, obviously, this, Mark Henry-esque beatdown. I think he can pull it off. And I think this seems a little more hard, like a little more rough around the edges when he was a heel against Cena. It was just like, beat up John Cena. And he was like that smart, like, jokey heel. I think this feels more serious.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think there's not enough good, like, faces at AJ Styles, no matter what, like, who he was facing as a face. Yeah, like,
I think I do.
Like him as a face can get over more heels than
I think at that point though
just
he
having
needed
him as a
something
heel.
Different. He needed to come back. He came back in his black jeans and he was more cut. I think he needed something. Again, they said he hadn't had a match in for a belt in a while, and I think his character needed something different. I think it was time. Because the stuff that they were doing with the Good Brothers and Medium, wasn't really going anywhere. So I think he needed this.
Like a new gimmick?
Yeah, he needed something. Again, I'm not a huge fan of his new music.
Like a new gimmick, like a Queen of the Ring?
Yes, Queen.
Open SmackDown.
I could not resist.
And as the air comes out of the room.
And when she challenges and wins the belt at SummerSlam, that would be a whole other level.
I really think she will. I think they're not really doing anything with Bayley.
You heard it here first. Write that down. We're documenting this on June 7th.
I wouldn't be surprised.
2024. Man.
I don't like it.
We got to prep for it.
But
brace for impact.
I even admit it. Like, again, you saw, I knew she was going to win Queen of the Ring. I couldn't write it down, but I knew it was happening. She's this, like, delusional woman, heel woman.
Delusion heel woman?
Yeah. So it's just like...
Yeah, more people are chiming in. Come on, everyone come on in. If you're new here, we get more people chime in. Let us know. Do you like heel AJ Styles? What do you think about wrestling this whole week? We're going to open up the phone lines pretty shortly. But again, if you're new here, hit the old like button.
Oh God, I forget there's a little coin thing at the end. Like we're Mario or something.
It is. I thought that was great.
So for new kids, I'm not a huge fan of Nia Jax remotely. And I get bullied mercifully from Nick and our regulars about my non-love. I don't want to say you don't hate people. I dislike her very much.
Her extreme dislike.
My extreme dislike for Nia Jax.
For Nia Jax. So in honor of Nia Jax being queen of the ring, we made that drop. So, well, by we, I mean me. And it was one of those, like, I had a sinister, like, snicker laugh as I was doing it because it was hysterical in my mind.
But also, I went on WWE.com before this to see, like, what's going on for SmackDown tonight. And it says, like, Cody's looking for a fight following AJ Styles' betrayal. So I guess he's going to probably cut a promo. And then it says, Solo Sikoa officially anoints Tangaloa into the bloodline. I'm like, did they do that for Tama?
No.
So that's...
Yeah. How did he get all that deal? Also, a couple things, just as we're talking about the AJ Styles stuff. He's like, I'm giving you the keys to the house, AJ Styles. I'm like, if that's the keys, you can keep the car. You can keep the house.
What?
Never mind. He's like, I'm giving you the keys to the house, AJ Styles. I'm like, yeah, you can keep the house. No, it was a joke. It ended poorly.
I joked at the joke. I said that he said that. Did someone? I'm bad at getting Nick's shitty jokes. So if you know where he was going with down there, please.
No one knows. It had a good point. You missed the punchline though, but
if that's the house, what the house is getting him?
Yeah, it's like if that's the house, you can keep the keys. I don't want. If it was, never mind. I forget it. You keep throwing me off. I'm throwing off. My delivery was wrong. Now it's all wrong. Forget it.
Stick to your diet, dude. Stick to your videos.
Stick to my videos. So, what do you want to? You want to open up the phone lines?
Yeah.
So, if you're new here, the call-in link is in the description below. So, we want to hear from all of you. Feel free to call in. Let us know what you're thinking, what you're drinking about professional wrestling. If you don't feel like calling in, you can write it in the comments here. So, that being said, let's open up the phone line. And we're back. Like those drops. So, I don't even know what this name is. I think we know who it is.
Oh no.
But, he changes his name every time. So I'm just going to assume that it's Steven.
Free acid farts, man.
Steven!
Steve, what are you thinking? What are you drinking on this Friday?
I like how nobody asked for an explanation of the name this time.
I did. Well, actually, Steve, I could have. Nikki would have
Oh,
Could have
well,
brought you that way.
No,
I
that
have
was
the drops.
no, that was a great it's non-wrestling related, so I don't know if I'm allowed to do it here, but that was a great news story I heard earlier today about a guy who got banned from all the MSG Entertainment venues, who goes by the name of Acid Farts.
Oh, I thought that completely misinterpreted. So he got banned. How or why?
Yeah. What happened is he went to the Sphere in Vegas to see Fish, and he brought a bong with him and ripped a couple of bong hits. And he made a video of it and not only posted it to Instagram, but tagged the Sphere in the post. So next thing you know, he's getting a letter from MSG Entertainment saying not only is he banned from the Sphere going forward because he violated their house rules, never mind that it was a Fish show and he was going to do it again for the Dead and Company show a couple weeks later. He's banned from all MSG Entertainment properties.
Interesting.
Yeah. Well, just don't be dumb. You know, whatever you post on social media, right? It lives forever.
Yeah.
But the name is what, Acid.
Is that his handle on Instagram?
No, I the stories give the impression that somehow that's his actual name, whether it's a changed name legally or somehow his real birth name. Who knows? But
try getting a job with that.
I thought that was a funny, like it was a big surprise for somebody to be bringing a bong to a Fish show.
Seriously.
Yeah. There's much worse you can bring. Anyway, so Steve, bringing it back. So what are you thinking about wrestling this week?
First thing I'm thinking is, where is he?
Our friend.
Yeah.
I know. I'm a little sad.
Yeah. We haven't seen Uncle Howdy. Hasn't chimed in this week.
We literally get.
Is he late? Did he have to stay at the office after hours?
I guess. He doesn't have Wi-Fi in his little cabin.
Yeah. Who knows?
I know. I'm really bummed. There was one point that Nick looked at his computer and I was like, something's happening, and then he didn't say anything, and I was like, no.
Hey.
Yeah.
We don't need. We hope Uncle Howdy will join us if he's out there, if he could find us. We remember who we are, but if not, we have other friends that can join in the conversation, and we could talk wrestling. So yeah, it's a little disappointing. But what else you got, Steve?
What else I got? There is a pay-per-view premium live event this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
The NXT one in the UFC arena. And it looks like a good one, particularly with the TNA crossovers happening. Jordynne Grace, and I'm sure whoever is going to interfere from TNA to make Jordynne Grace lose that match. And then whoever else is going to be showing up. So looking forward to this one because there's actually an element of surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting is that I actually think that Jordynne Grace could win this belt. I really do, because I have this weird feeling because they're now talking about like Moose and all these other people coming out of kind of the woodwork to try and get these feuds. So I wouldn't be so surprised. It wouldn't be if she won and they do some sort of crossover because now the other element of this, ironically, with the theme of our show with AJ Styles' fake retirement is now when you think about it, he's still gonna feud with Cody, but this whole crossover now, we thought the Good Brothers were the ones that would go back. They have history and impact. To your point, actually, Steve, I think you called here last week and we are talking about AJ. Was it last week we did the show or 2 weeks ago, the Jordynne Grace show? And AJ is the one with the most history and impact. Yeah, maybe now that is the time to do something like that where it would, pardon the pun, have more of an impact. The crowd knows him. That would be bigger than sending over. I don't even know, who's a mid card. It's probably gonna be some mid card rando.
Natty.
Yeah, someone like that. Not, yeah.
Yeah.
The mail.
And you know what else would be good for that AJ Styles storyline, whether it's on SmackDown tonight or the NXT event over the weekend or whenever, is, well, who all of a sudden doesn't have a contract anymore, but Mark Henry.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's actually pretty convenient. Yeah.
Yeah. If you believe in Mark Henry.
Well, he showed up in MLW.
Do you believe in Mark Henry?
Don't you flipping dare. For anyone who doesn't know, Joe Hendry, TNA or Impact wrestler.
Is Christopher Daniels still? No, he is not, Lisa. Christopher Daniels is actually the they just announced like a week ago he's now like the VP of like.
So basically he's the Adam Pearce of AEW. That's the best way to describe it. But anywho, so I introduced Nick to Joe Hendry hours ago, and now he's singing his song like you believe in Joe Hendry. How dare you?
I said Mark Henry. Like I turned it into the Mark Henry song.
That would be great for him to walk in during one of Drew's promos.
Well, you know what'd be interesting is that, another name that had really, really big success and impact. Well, ironically, now you just mentioned Drew. Drew's another one who had success and impact, but like Bobby Lashley was one of the biggest successes and impact of the last.
Where's he been?
SmackDown-ish.
Well, he was on SmackDown, but like the Street Profits, they were with Kevin Owens last week.
There's a bunch they could bring over. I think half their agents used to be TNA stars. Half their producers, rather. A bit there, Robert Roode. I almost said Rick Rude, but no. But
Bobby.
Joseph Park, who was Abyss.
Mm-hmm.
Was Petey Williams in TNA?
Yes.
Oh yeah, forgot him.
Yeah,
Abyss.
You said background. Yeah.
I was like Joseph Parks. I was like, Joseph Parks and Abyss is the same person. Forgot about that.
Spoiler alert.
Oh, I thought you said spoiler to what I said. I thought he was going to say spoiler alert to the else. So Steve, what else you got? Anything?
Just one more bit of housekeeping. I thought I saw that you hit 50.
Yeah. But nobody claimed. Nobody claimed the elusive.
If you were our 50th subscriber to take a picture and you were going to get our Danhausen socks. Whoever you are, Mystery 50, you did not do that.
Yeah. So now we're at 52. So again, if you're new here, hold on, Steve. We're doing it again because we put time into this. While everyone's here, we're gonna up it because this is then we just upsell it, right? We put it into the next prize. So next is 100. Why is she stealing?
Well, because you're not showing them off. Cute little Danhausen socks.
And we'll probably throw in one of the shirts. Size non-negotiable.
Yeah, it's
same thing with socks.
Sorry.
And
so it's something to aspire to.
And number 100 gets 2 pairs.
And again, not used in the package.
Yes.
They've just been sitting.
That's for subscriber number 100. So the race to 100 is for Labor Day. That's our goal, is to get to.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot can happen between now and then.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Dan's Ed's chimed in. Sockhausen. Yes, Sockhausen. That's exactly what we're gonna call it.
Yeah.
Very nice pair of evil socks.
What other what else you got before we let you go here, Steve?
Nothing. I don't care for these love triangle aspects of storylines. I mean, I love what's going on with Liv and the Judgment Day. Just in general, it's good to see Liv getting a really big push. Mm-hmm. And I look forward to watching her storyline over the next few months. But look at him. Look at how.
Hold on.
Look.
It's very low.
I know it's low. I had
Oh gosh.
Can you hear it on your end?
His trunks should be blue. If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Right here. There you go.
But yeah, I think everybody's doing really good work, and good for Dom that he's able to juggle 3 women, and
Seriously. they're like Dom must be so miserable at work right now.
imagine what his dad thinks.
I know you have to watch it. Well, I guess it has to be like, I mean, like similar to like acting in that sense, right? Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Also, that they brought up from previous years is Aaliyah, his sister, in real life, made out with Buddy Matthews in that weird
Yeah,
thing
that
with
would be.
Seth, and when he was there together, and she made out with Buddy.
Yeah, that'd be like, interesting to bring.
Rhea's Dom's sister made out with her real life fiance. It's a weird.
That sounds like a lot of Vince McMahon booking.
Well, Vince McMahon was booking it back then.
And their corporate holiday parties must be weird.
Seriously. So, Steve, not a fan of the love triangle.
And it is what it is. They've done it before. I'm sure they'll do it again. It's at least it's what this part of it is watchable. I'm more into the breakup Judgment Day from within aspect of things, which looks like that's what's happening. But I'm glad to see her get her big push finally.
Yeah, she's gonna get a lot of momentum in the next 3-4 months from all of this. So I'm excited to see what happens, where this goes. And so, Steve, before we let you go, does Dom side with Liv? Is it inevitable in your mind, or is there a twist and he's loyal to Rhea?
I still think this is an act, because remember, you saw them in the background of some scenes before they started having conversations actually in the ring. So I think this is an act they're both putting on, and they've both been in cahoots all along.
I agree.
But I've been wrong before, so hey.
So you think Liv and Dom have been together all along?
I think, yeah. I think this has all been a setup, and I don't know when it'll be revealed. Maybe at the Clash at the Castle, but yeah, I think they're working together, and Dom is just acting.
Well put. Well, Steve,
storyline acting. I mean, obviously he's acting, but
I don't know. It's real. It's still real to me. Damn it!
Yeah.
Stop banging everybody, Dom.
Can you leave this picture up for another 5 seconds? By the way,
I'm almost there. Well, Steve, on that note,
now you made it dirty.
on that note, you, sir, are cut off. We do not allow that in this bar.
Sid!
Unbelievable. You see what happens when you let the riffraff in sometimes?
I do want to say one thing off of what Steven said with the love triangles. And I get, I think what works for this is that Liv is that strong female character. And I'm thinking back to Otis, Mandy, Ziggler. And I think, again, Mandy Rose needed to go to NXT and she became a star, can talk and stuff. But I just feel like she was just this, when the girl's what do I do? Blah. But Liv is I'm gonna get you, Dom. And it's just
I know.
I think it's more impactful when I don't know.
It's also not to get super technical, but she wore all black, the Dom type attire. So now she's Argh!
Yeah. And then
break your face.
She posted on Instagram and she says she puts the hot and psychotic.
That's a good
yeah. Line. So I think it works. I think you have the right players in the right feud, in the right storyline, that it's hitting better than other stupid love triangles they've done before.
Well, Lisa disagrees. She says it's a very weird love triangle.
No, it's weird, but I'm into it.
But good point, Lisa. What better way to make Dom a bigger deal than have him cheat on Mommy? Yeah, seriously.
And then also his, father, Eddie Guerrero, also cheated on his mommy, on Chyna. So...
Which I think an article came out today that I read somewhere that Dom actually asked, or no, Ray actually asked his wife if she actually like hooked up with Eddie because it's so weird. But I don't know if like, he like is saying that.
You,
Like an
I
interview
think if
to,
you
like-
legit, when he's definitely like when there was like the custody of Dominic thing with him and Eddie and Ray, like his face does look very much Rey Mysterio, but I think with the mullet, the mustache, playing it up, that you're like, oh, Eddie. But like, kind of like his bald little face and like Dominic's little child baby face, you could tell that. You know.
Well, listen.
He's
You could
definitely
tell
Mysterio.
there's love in the air. I know. I have to add more to that. The story continues. Steven's favorite love triangle continues.
But no, I think they've done some crappy ones in the past, and I think this one's going to be a lot better. So I'm excited to see where this goes.
Okay. Let's get to some of the comments before. Ed, I don't know. Ed keeps saying it's the hair. Ed, we're gonna, he's waiting in the call queue. I'm gonna let him hear it out. So, all right, let's bring him on. Ed, defend yourself about the hair.
Defend me with the hair. Have you seen like a side-by-side comparison of late 90s, early 2000s Ray without the mask and then like little kid Dom? Dom is literally just a clone of younger Ray. It's literally just like the shitty mustache. Sorry for the language there. And the mullet. Like it's just the Eddie Guerrero mustache and mullet that makes him look like Eddie.
Mm-hmm. Obviously, it's on purpose.
Oh, it's 100% on purpose. It's so good.
Yeah, I'm loving it. I'm really loving this.
So, Ed, what are you thinking? What are you drinking?
Man, I'm actually not drinking anything crazy. Just a glass of water. Just trying to stay hydrated, It's important. Especially with this heat, this Jersey heat. Come on.
Hey, listen, I just flew in today from Atlanta.
Yeah.
Just as hot.
It's ridiculous out there.
We're staying hydrated here with red wine.
Hey, that's the opposite way to do that. No,
it's called the hydration.
I like that. I love that for you. Now, what am I thinking? I actually was just having a conversation with a friend of mine. He's also a big Bray Wyatt guy. I'm like, I really want them to pull the trigger on the Bo Dallas thing, whether it's Uncle Howdy or we're calling it something else. I want them to do something, and I want it to be good, and I want it to be huge. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm the crazy person that's like, I want this to feel as big as like when the Nexus jumped John Cena, right? I want this to feel as big as like when the NWO showed up and like, they had those tracking shots from like the parking lot into the building, and the NWO was just like laying waste to everybody. Like, well, I want this to feel like I need the old Stone Cold, and you had Austin show like go up from the parking lot and just destroy the entire WCW roster, like, and then the glass breaks, and he's just jaw jack into the ring, and the place like I need this to be huge.
Agreed.
So, agree with you. I guess the question is like, how does it become? Because they said like it's supposed to be a massacre, right? Like the same idea, like. So how does it become?
How do you do that? I mean, you need to make whoever Bo Dallas is going to be, right? If it is going to be Bo Dallas, if he's going to lead this group, you need to make him everything that the Fiend was supposed to be. He needs to be Thanos. He needs to be Darkseid. He needs to be the final boss of WWE. And I know that sounds ridiculous for Uncle Howdy to be the final boss, but like, you get where I'm going with this? Like. Yeah. No, you have to call him something else, even if you don't give him the mask and like you call him something different. Even if he's still Bo Dallas again, or you just call him by his real name, right? Keep him with like the dyed beard, give him the hat, hell, give him a monocle. I don't care. Like
the question is like, I'm quite like Bray Wyatt's character was so Bray Wyatt, like it was in his mind, his creation, his vision. Like that's my concern is that like this character needs to be Bo or. Like it needs to be him in this character. You know what I mean? Like it needs to be his adaptation of whatever the Bray, like the dark side world.
He was going to be a monster with his brother, so whatever version of his monster is.
That's exactly what I wanted to say. Like I just feel like we did not get to see so much.
Oh, agreed.
Yeah, and then when he said he's like, "Oh, I get to play monsters on TV with my brother," like it hurt. Hurt, and it's just like now I agree with you. It needs to be huge. They need to make Bo again, that because the Fiend should have been, and I don't know what I was watching or what came up on YouTube, but it literally when the Fiend and Goldberg were staring at each other, I was like, oh, that was flipping awful.
Yeah. And like the Fiend showing up every week was like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
He should only show up, like they should have been using him sparingly, like they were using Demon Finn for NXT, right? They were only using Demon Finn once in a while when things were really bad. And that's how the Fiend should have been used the same way. And again, I guess you could have held off having Bray wrestle as just a regular like Firefly Funhouse host Bray, maybe pump the brakes on that, have him do a couple of things, and then have the Fiend show up. But when the Fiend shows up, it's a big problem, right? I thought it would have been cool. I think even before the Fiend, maybe you could have had, or when they were doing the Fiend, because I had this thought when before Cody left. So this is going way back, right? Anybody that Bray had interacted with at that point, you could have kept him having Undertaker's lightning, Kane's fire, and anybody he touched could have been like a sleeper agent, right? So you could have like turned the Bludgeon Brothers back into Wyatt family members. You could have added new people like the Ascension, because at the time they weren't doing anything with that. Cody was so good at talking, you could have just dropped the Stardust gimmick, kept him with the contacts, and have him just start talking about like a higher power, or just just using the phrase him something, and then eventually it's like boom, he's been talking about Bray the whole time. Well, now Bray feels like a big deal, and you could have had like a Seth Rollins turn. You could have had just other people that Bray had feuded with, have them turn, and even if they're not completely bad guys on his side, they still have a bit of an edge to them. I think
it's a collector, like the collector idea of like the collector of souls. Like every time he beats somebody, they become. You know what it is? Oh, best example. So before I forget, Shao Kahn. Is that what it was in Mortal Kombat? He was the first big baddie, right?
You're thinking of Shang Tsung, the sorcerer.
That was the second one, I think. Same idea, right? He kept beating all the great warriors and collecting all their souls.
Yeah,
that's the same kind of concept that I think you're getting at there. Like, is it like Bray would beat somebody and then they become a follower of him or an extension of him because he's that, like, by osmosis?
Yeah, it's essentially what they're doing with Karrion Kross.
Well, yes,
you just would have done it better because, like, I feel like Bray's presentation's been better. But I'm sorry, Nikki, you look like you were going to say something.
I had like two separate thoughts.
Go for it.
First of all, I feel like they tried to do that when he came out as the Fiend and it, like, just basically like turned Finn's head. Didn't he go back to NXT after that?
I wasn't right away.
And then when he was feuding with D-Bry, that he like pulled him into the ring, and remember he like cut off all his hair, and I like didn't that kind of like they were trying to plant the seeds that he was changing people, but I don't think it quite hit.
Yeah, so, and that's what I was getting at, is that like if you were going to do that, then do it. And we've got better creative now that's going to let you do that. So let Bo Dallas, Uncle Howdy, Taylor Rotunda, whatever his name is, let him do that.
Yeah. No.
And I feel like just having even people that Bray's already interacted with, and just like you snap the fingers, and now these people are turning on other on people that like they've been with. Really interesting. But you also have the Bo Dallas character. Have him show up in the background of both shows. Like he's not just on one or the other. I want him to feel like the like giant story threat that like the Attitude Era storylines were. So like the Austin McMahon feud, it felt like the company was under attack. Yeah. NWO and WCW, it felt like the company was under attack, and it didn't matter what show you were watching. You felt that presence of that story. The fingerprints of that were everywhere. This needs to feel like that.
So to your point, with the interruptions being on all the shows, it should be, because of the fact that you see the screen glitch on both Raw and SmackDown, not necessarily NXT. I don't think I've seen anything on NXT, but like, yeah, to your point, it should be just like Roman's able to like go willy-nilly Raw or SmackDown. You never know where they'll show up. Like they should be able to like debut on Raw. We think, what's it, the 19th?
17th.
17th.
Right.
that they debut the 17th, but then maybe they come back the next Monday, but then maybe they don't come back the following Monday and they come back to SmackDown the next Friday, right? And they beat up who knows, like whoever's there. I don't even know who's on SmackDown anymore. They just keep changing their roster.
I mean,
Like,
you could have them show up. You know, they debut on Raw. Holy crap! And then they let's say they beat up like Damian Priest. You know, they go after the champ, right? Lay him out, lay out the Judgment Day, lay out everybody. Like who and like maybe set up the main event for that show. Make it a big 6-man, 8-man tag. You know, you have this big thing, and then these guys show up and lay waste, and they're like, oh my god, what was that? And then on SmackDown, similar thing happens. Let's say they just target Cody, right? They lay Cody out. And then on Raw, they like you just have these guys bounce everywhere and lay waste to everything. You can still have your storylines for each show because you still want it to feel like a connected universe, right? You still want it to feel like everything is still moving. So still have your smaller stories, but this is the bigger, larger story they're telling. Does that make sense?
You know who I think is the first? You know who might be involved? I think he's one of the first people, big names that gets attacked if they're going to do it this way. And no, the last I heard, he had a smaller feud, but it really wasn't a feud. They planted seeds. LA Knight,
yeah,
would be perfect for it.
Nope, don't want him near my babies.
Just because if you're doing storytelling and the prophecy of the Red, the last person he feuded with was LA Knight, you could kind of run it back and go back through the whole chain of everything.
All the dates point to a Raw.
No.
Unless he's the guy they do on SmackDown, but I want to.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think he's going to be the first, but I think he will be one of the firsts. Can I fertilize that? I don't know. But I think he could be because of that fact that he has the history there. And like everything that this whole where Wyatt 6 storyline is going towards basically leads towards like the prophecies, everything that Bray Wyatt taught. So like, why not make an impact? It has to be some.
Then Braun.
Braun's already feuding with Judgment Day.
LA Knight's feuding with Logan Paul.
Is he though? I don't know.
And you called out the other day that he's grown his mullet back.
But that's kind of what I'm talking about, is that you can still have these stories and you still have the like, you know, LA Knight still wants to go after Logan Paul or this or that, but he's also like, no, but nah, I still gotta go take out, you know, cousin Yeehaw over here, you know, whatever we're calling him.
Yeah.
But I think that would be interesting.
Well, here's the thing. When you talked about your debuts, right? Like you talked about the Nexus and NWO, and like all those debuts had to have a big name that no one wanted to see get beat up, right? And like that's what happened. Like John Cena with the Nexus. Like there was always, who was it? Like was NWO? It was like Savage and Sting was Sting there. Yeah, Luger. Yeah, like it was all the big baby faces. So who's the big baby face right now that would make the most impact aside from Cody, who's already in a feud? To me, the next biggest baby face is LA Knight.
That does make sense, but it also doesn't feel great because it's like, and it doesn't feel great in the same way that Bray losing over and over and over and over and over again doesn't feel great. Because it's like the same thing that Logan Paul had said. You see, LA Knight's a megastar, but what has he done?
Yeah.
And I love LA Knight. I think the guy's fantastic. But like, that's accurate. He keeps getting to, the big, he keeps getting to the dance here.
Steve says Sammy. That's a good one.
I was going to say that too.
That Gable feud though is going on longer though.
Gable's contract ends tomorrow or Sunday.
Unless Steve's implying that like just Sammy's just as big a babyface, which yeah, that's fair. But I don't think, he's a mid-card title holder. That's why I feel like it's going to be someone who's a big name, not in a title picture or exiting a title picture. And that's going to be the first feud that they're going to try and culminate. But
what if they just lay waste to Gunther?
I could see that too. I thought about that too. Actually, Ed, that's a great point. I thought about that because he's such a great
big deal.
MJF heat. It's like they're so good at what they do. Like I don't need. What does he say? Like I don't need your recognition or something along those lines. But like he's like I don't need your acknowledgement. Like I do everything I do in the ring. Like that would be a pretty gnarly way to debut.
It just. I feel like PTSD.
Ooh, Steve's got another one. Jey Uso. Jey Uso might be the right one.
Well, I mean, and that kind of goes to what I was saying before. I think you debut them during a massive like 6-8 man tag match. Yeah, you get just a bunch of names in there, and they kill everybody. They lay them all out.
Yeah.
And then they go to SmackDown and they do the same thing. Hell, you could even have them all through SmackDown just taking people out left and right. Like
Yeah,
I want this to feel like such a big deal that like someone like Kevin Owens looks at the bloodline and goes, "Ah, shit. I hate you and you guys hate me, but we got to go take out, Uncle Spooky Pants over here." Like that's what I'm looking for. Like I want this to kind of change the way that we're telling stories, even for a little bit. Like I want this to feel like a giant, like Marvel or DC Comics, like universe, like spanning event.
No, I think you made a good point. Like Thanos is showing up now. It's like this is the next.
This is a problem. Yeah. He's bigger than everything else, and like to him, the WWE Universal title, or whatever we're calling it now, the Undisputed Championship, or whatever belt. Hell, it could be both belts for all I care. But one of the heavyweight championships, like the big brand name ones, that's his Infinity Gauntlet. That's his anti-life equation. That's what he's looking for. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted out of Bray. That's what I've always wanted out of Bray.
Yeah, and he got it for like a short period of time, but he never really got to do the Undertaker ministry type run with the belt, where it's like I own all of WWE. No, I agree. Ed, before we let you go here, any last shot?
Yeah, Darby Allin sucks.
You don't like flamethrowers in wrestling?
No, I hate sex pests in wrestling.
That's fair.
No. Don't Google what Darby Allin did to homeless people. It's not good. Nikki, I'm sorry. Hey.
So on a more positive note, any last shot on a more positive note?
Yeah, MJF does a really good Triple H cosplay. I really dig the jacket.
Oh, yeah.
Listen, I really like that promo until he started yelling about donkey dicks. It was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like MJF, man. He's good.
He's your man. He's your man. There he is. Just for you. Just for you, Ed.
I think it's a lame shirt, but I dig it.
He's whispering sweet nothings into your ear.
Ooh.
Like he's your Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan to your Dom.
I'm being the Nicole's back of the line, Ed. Back of the line, buddy.
You can have him. It's
well, Ed. On that note, since you riled up my wife to talk about MJF.
Oh my! Can it be?
You are getting booted from the bar. You
Good night, everybody.
Cut off.
Yeah, I will point out again, like I did last week, when you told me you watched Mariah May put what's her face? What's her face? She's a Jersey girl.
Oh yeah. I know Layla Hirsch.
Layla Hirsch. That you watched.
Who was just at Wrestle Show.
The gif of Mariah May shoving Hirsch's face into her boobs 1,000 times.
It's where the
I can't compliment a man's abs.
AEW is where the breasts wrestle, right?
Oh, that was a meme because the thing between Mariah May, Tony, and I'm just gonna butcher her name, Mira Kurosawa.
That sounds pretty good. I like that.
But she had them both in her bosoms, and then it was like Jordan Grace, Impact, WWE. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. He can look at that all he wants, but don't shame me for looking at MJF.
Wait, hold on. We got comments?
Yeah.
Steven, you say that like it's a bad thing. Yes! Steve!
And I'm saying it's not. He can look all bad. Shut it. I don't care. Look at boobs all you want. I get them. They're fun. But then don't say anything that me looking at MJF's abs. Ooh. Where are my girls at?
That's why for our 5% of female listeners, that's why we love the female on the show.
Ladies?
I know we need more lady listeners on the show.
Get out of here.
We also need more likes and subscribes. So we've got 13 people in the chat. So if you haven't done so yet, like and subscribe.
Thank you, Lisa. Team abs. No, you can look at boobs all you want. Abs. I don't care.
I have the keg. I have the keg.
I'm into that too, but
Ed said boobs are pretty dope. Yeah, they are.
I'm not disputing
They're
that.
pretty
I'm
awesome.
also very much team boobs, but like I'm also very much I'm gonna stare at MJF too. So relax.
See, I think next time I do this, you just need to amend it out, and you just say boob.
I'm gonna make my own drops and just MJF.
I'd like to see you try.
I'm not going to, but I'm just saying there's a double standard that I will not have on this show.
Unbelievable.
We support all good women's wrestling, all good men's wrestling, all good people of all shapes and sizes.
We support that every Friday here at 6 p.m. And as everyone's chiming in, we also appreciate your support via a like and subscribe. So if you haven't done so yet, make sure you do. Let's get through the last couple comments here and see if Lisa's talking more about abs. Lisa, we might
just appreciate the human body.
Hold on, I got one for you.
It's too short. It doesn't count.
We will. It should count.
It doesn't.
Well, let's get through. Lisa's talking about abs.
Yeah. Just human body.
And boobs, except Nia. I think Nia's got very, very.
She's very beautiful. I just don't like her character.
Oh.
And she's kind of a shit wrestler. She's gotten better, right? She still worries
Don't
me.
hate on Nia. We're going to get Nia on the show.
Did I not? I said she was going to win Queen of the Ring. I said she's probably going to beat Bayley at SummerSlam. I said she's pretty. I just don't like her character, and I just think she's a shit wrestler.
I just hate her.
I don't hate people.
I just extremely dislike.
Again,
But at some point in time, that will be must watch.
Steven wrote, this is a weird episode. I think this has been a fun one. I think our Backlash one was probably the worst because we just like shit on each other the whole time.
No, this is fun.
So mad.
We're having a blast. So
I'm having fun. I hope you guys are having fun, and we make it weird around here.
We like to have fun every Friday at 6. So next week, actually, before as Steven likes to put housekeeping items. So next Friday is our normal Friday show.
Oh yes.
But would you like to say it, that the pay-per-view is?
Oh, it's a PLE.
PLE, well, whatever.
Clash at the Castle. Boom, again!
She did it. So, given that Clash at the Castle is next Saturday, which I love Saturday, especially midday ones. So, we're going to do our normal recap show on Sunday, probably Sunday afternoon. We'll have more information, probably like 3, 4, 5.
Oh, that is Father's Day, so
Oh yeah, we might have to push back. So probably given it's Father's Day, yeah, probably a little later in the day. So mark your calendars. Easiest way to get notified is to subscribe and turn on your notifications. So
hit that bell.
Yeah, hit that little bell. But it's been a fun one. As Jackson snores away, that's how we know we did a good job. We put our dog to sleep.
Very true.
But until next time, you don't have to go home.
But you can stay here. Bye.